Hello and very warm welcome to RAFLIMTS. This is Furrukh. In this hands-on video tutorial, we will learn how we can install the Koha and DSpace on a single Ubuntu server. Not only this, we will also encounter the DSpace build fail error. So here I'm going to install the Koha 21.05 on Ubuntu 20.04 and the DSpace6. Instead of DSpace7, I'm going to install the DSpace6 because DSpace6 is one of the easiest and the lightest project as compared to DSpace7. To have DSpace7, we need to install backend, we need to install front end, and we need to have a the good size of server, good size of memory. So it would be so heavy along with Koha. So I'm going to install the DSpace6 along with Koha on Ubuntu 20.04. So, and it is actually not recommended to install DSpace and Koha on the same server. Koha is one of the separate project, DSpace is one of the separate project. So you need to have the separate server for both of them. But a number of people ask me, can we have the DSpace along with Koha? Can we have the Koha along with DSpace? Yes, we can. But you need to have the separate server for both of them. So let us start with this video. But before we start, I would like to talk on the DSpace build fail error. When we almost complete the installation of DSpace and at the last movement to install the Maven packages in the build directory of DSpace, and at the time of end fresh installation, we receive an error about the build fail. So something like this. This is actually the successful build of when we actually using the Maven project in the DSpace build directory. So this is success actually. But a number of times we receive the error something failed. Not this one. Here, this is actually the build successful. So we also receive the error of build fail. So we will also encounter this. In DSpace6, this is one of the bug. So let me show you where actually I get this information. Several people ask me about this, that build fail. So you can actually see the DSpace6 installation like this one. And the very first link is of the wiki by the official DSpace, and there you can see the installation of DSpace6. And if you have noticed this, it has all the instructions available to how we actually install the DSpace6. So we need to have JDK. We will talk this later, but let us talk about the build error. There you can see in the down menu this one. If you have seen this, let me actually this. See this one, get code version control. So this is what they said. Currently there's a known bug in DSpace 6.x where a third-party Maven module expect Git to be available in order to support the DSpace version command line tools. We are working on a solution within this ticket. So here's the ticket, so you can see either it's solved or not. DSpace build error when Git is not present, so they need a volunteer. For the time being, you can work around this problem by installing Git locally. So you need to install the GitHub first before you are going to install the DSpace. So this ticket actually required volunteer. So if you can work on this, you can be a volunteer with the DSpace. Anyhow, so let us talk about the installation. So we will install the Git first. So you can see this is actually the Git download. So there you can download the Git on Ubuntu very first, and then we will move forward to the DSpace installation. Here we are. So the latest version is 2.33.0. Okay, so we need to have the Git first. And let me close this for now. I have few command line here. One of the guide that we have developed when we are going to install the DSpace. So we will use the same here. Here I just actually copy the command line only. So we have to update. Very first thing that we need to do, we need to open our terminal, Control Alt T, and if you can see this, let me zoom this. No, okay. Anyways, to activate the admin mode and the password of your Ubuntu system, and then we need to update sudo apt-get update. I actually use sudo before every command, so to make sure that we are admin here. We are root here. Although I activate the root module, but I use actually this. Okay, so we are updated now, and then we need to upgrade. So you can use the same command. Let me write here. It's sudo apt get upgrade, and now we are going to upgrade. So we are also already upgraded, and then we need to install the Git by using this command. If I can bigger this size, so view, okay, no. Anyways, so we need to copy this command, say sudo apt-get install git, sudo apt-get install git, and it will ask me, so I say yes. 38.4 MB is actually the size of Git. So first actually we are going to install the DSpace, and then we will install the Koha 21.05 on the same server machine. Okay, after the Git, let us check the version of Git. So we are at the current version, or we are on the old version, so we can check this. It's 2.25 instead of the, so I think we are not on the current stable version of Git, so one, it's 2.33.0. So when we come to this module and when we talk about the Linux installation, see, it say for Ubuntu, let me bigger this size at least. Okay. For Ubuntu, we need to install, okay, stop here. For Ubuntu or Debian, we need to install Git by using this command, and then we need to add this PPA provides the latest stable upstream Git version. So we can have a latest version by using this PPA. So we need to add this repository. Okay, so we need to add this repository in our Ubuntu system, and then we need to update and install Git once again. So let us do this. I have already written these commands here, so you can see this. Let me copy here and paste on the terminal. So press enter to continue, and now it's actually going to add this PPA. And after that, we need to update and install Git by using this command. This is for the stable current version of Git. So ask me the permission. Let's say 1028 KB is actually the size. It's 32%, 37%. It's going on, and it will install the Git stable version within my system, and then we will check the version. It would be 2.33.0. See, 2.33.0. So now, before installing DSpace, we need to update, upgrade, and we need to install Git and the current version of Git by adding this repository. And after that, let's talk about the DSpace installation. So we need to install the OpenJDK 8. See, when I read this instructions on the DSpace6 installation, so they are actually very clear to install Java JDK 7 or 8, OpenJDK or Oracle JDK. So we need to install the 8 here. Instead, we will install the current version of OpenJDK. So let us install the OpenJDK 8. Where is my command line? Let me copy this command. It's quite simple. You can install by writing like this. Let me show you. It's a sudo apt-get. Sudo is not required actually here. We are already in root directory. So, but to ensure that, I just actually use this apt-get install OpenJDK 8 JDK. So let us do this, and it's 162 MB, and it asks me my permission. So I'll say yes, continue. And it might take few time. Let me pause my video here and I'll come back when it may complete. it has done now, and now we need to work on the, after the OpenJDK, we need to install the Ant and then Maven. Okay, so let us install, let me bigger this. Okay, so the same command we need to use, sudo apt-get install Maven, and it's 12.1 MB. And we need to install the Ant. It's sudo apt-get install Ant. Yes, 3415 KB. Okay, after this, let us install the PostgreSQL. So this directory actually I'm going to add, this repository I'm going to add in my Ubuntu system. See, you need to run by command, and then actually I'm going to get this PostgreSQL from this key. So I'm going to add this key here. Say OK. Close this. And after this, I need to update don't worry about this error, nothing. And see, we need to install this version of PostgreSQL. After the DSpace6, we are more actually traditional. We need to install the what actually DSpace has recommended to have the DSpace6. So see, instead of current version, so we can have these version. So for PostgreSQL, we have 9.4 or later version. So we are going to install this 9.6 version here. And after the update, we will install this version from this key, and we actually add here the repository. So let me copy this and paste here. Let me close this first. See, it's a sudo apt-get install PostgreSQL 9.6 version, and yes. so easy to install DSpace6, but it's too time taking process. Let's say success, and going on, you can start the database server using this line in this command actually. Okay, done. So we have installed this, and now we need to create one user in PostgreSQL database, that is actually our DSpace, and one database that is also the DSpace database. So one user as a DSpace in the PostgreSQL database. So we are going to log in PostgreSQL database that we have installed from root to PostgreSQL. See, now we are as a PostgreSQL, and we are going to create the DSpace user here and then the DSpace database. So this command will work. Copy, paste. So it will ask me the password for that. So initially I use DSpace, and it say yes. Okay, done. And I'll create the database by using this command. Create database, username that is Postgres, owner is actually the DSpace, encoding Unicode and the template 0 DSpace, so on. Let me paste here. It's done. And we need to create this extension. This is most important actually. PG crypto extension is in PostgreSQL database. So copy this command, these are the same commands. We have not changed these commands. Those we worked in one of the last video to install DSpace6. But we need to take care to install these version of the prerequisites database. After the DSpace7 especially, we need to take care of this. Anyhow, so now we need to exit from the PostgreSQL to root, and we can say exit here. So the extension has created, and now we are as a root user, the admin user, not the PostgreSQL database. And then we need to actually allow the DSpace on this database configuration directory. So we need to copy this, and we need to we are going to open the file where we allow the DSpace pg hba configuration file of Postgres 9.6. so there we need to add we can add this line in the last, or we can add here, say local all DSpace. Let me copy first and I'll show you. You can paste this line in the last, or you can use there. The local type is local, and the database is all for all database. The user is the Postgres user is this one. Sorry, the user is DSpace and the method is actually MD5. So you can have your IPv4 if you are using IPv4. So you can IPv4. I mean, for the hosting service for to go online, so you can work with this and save here and close this. And after this, we need to restart the PostgreSQL by using this command. This is one of the old command, but it's work actually. Restarting Postgres by this command. This is actually the newest command. So anyhow, now we need to add the user in our system. I mean the Ubuntu system as the DSpace. And the password for this, we can update the password here. Actually DSpace. And then we need to make directory for DSpace. So sudo make directory mkdir, and directory name is actually DSpace. To have DSpace, we need to create this directory, and by directory we mean the folder actually, and we grant permission to this directory that we have created by using this command. Okay, we also need to make the build directory to build DSpace. Paste here. This command is actually to make directory mkdir and the directory name, and we grant permission to this directory. And now let us go to the directory. By writing cd, we can enter within the directory, I mean within the folder. Okay, so we get actually the current release version, I mean not the current release version, we are going to get the DSpace6 source release version. I mean the sources release version in tar gz form. So this is actually the link from the GitHub, and paste here. You can check the link with the DSpace website, so you will find the link for the DSpace 6.3 version over there, but I have actually right here the updated link. And then we need actually to unzip this file. This is actually one of the zip format tar.gz for the source code file. So we are going to unzip this by using this command. So it has unzipped one of the small size 5 MB actually. Okay. Okay, after extract the DSpace source release file in the build directory, we need to add it. We need to remove one of the disturbing plugin of Maven. So we need to copy this to open that plugin in terminal, and this is most important phase actually. We all skip this phase, and because of this phase the build also failed. So there we need to find the plugin by using 1.4, and you can see this plugin we need to remove, or we can add comment here to disable this. So let me remove this. It might be available on line 103 to line 10115. So, and in one of the last video we have discussed this plugin in detail. If you want to learn about that, so you can have that video. In fact, we have discussed each and every step in quite detail in one of the last video of DSpace installation. I mean DSpace6 installation. So after this, so we have removed this plugin. See this one. I mean this bunch actually. And now let us enter in the build directory of the DSpace. So it's cd cd build DSpace 6.3 source release directory and this folder. So we are enter in this folder. Okay, now we are in this directory and we are going to update the all repositories, all DSpace repositories within this directory. So I'll show you what repositories actually we are going to update here. So we have DSpace build, configuration module, DSpace API Java API source module, DSpace JSPUI source module, DSpace OAI, it's actually PMH source module, RDF. I mean lots more. So we are actually going to update all these repositories within this directory by using this command, this one. And this is actually the most important and the longest step. So we need to be more careful. We need to install Git first so it will not fail. So let us copy this and paste in our terminal, and let's see. I hope it may work. See all the repositories, and it will take a long time. So let me pause my video here to make it shorten, but my videos are actually not so short, so I make a long videos for to actually not to skip any important step. So this will take long time. So let me pause my video here, and when it may complete, I'll show you how it's actually the progress go on. Okay, I'm back now. So it has done successfully. So as you can see, all the repositories of DSpace6 are built successfully. So we have the very famous XML UI on the local customization and the JSP UI on the local customization, and the Solar as well, Solar Webs as well, and all the repositories of DSpace6 are built successfully. So you can see it's one of the largest projects. So we actually did you can see this 21 of out of 23rd, and then we have 22nd out of 23rd, and the final one is 23rd of 23rd. So we have all these repositories here, and we built successfully. Now move to the the next step, and there we need to go in this directory. This is called the DSpace installer directory. So by using cd, and here we are. So when we enter in this directory, we need to install the ant fresh installation. So this is another step that is very risky, and let us start now. Okay. It might take few time. It test actually the database and copy some files. You can see working on. There we actually receive the error of Java 1 or something like that. I mean Java written something that I don't remember right now. So DSpace code has been installed and now it's actually copying fresh installation. Let us see what happened. If the build failed because of internet connection or the connection error, so you may repeat again by establishing your internet connection. So it's a huge file actually. 3024 files to DSpace web apps. Okay, so the build successful in 2 minutes 4 seconds. So you can see the localhost 8080 XML UI, and now we are in the OPT directory and we are going to install the Tomcat from this command. So from this address actually, and we are going to install the Tomcat version 8.5.71 because it has recommend to install Tomcat 7 or the 7 here. I think for DSpace6 it has recommend to install Tomcat 7 here. So we are going to install the Tomcat 8. This one, as you can see, it has say surveillance engine that may be Apache Tomcat 7 or the later, and or we can use JT or this one. So we will use the Tomcat 8 here, and this command actually download the Tomcat 8 in tar.gz format. The tar.gz is one of the zip formats, so for the source code, and as you can see it has executed. So it's 10.09 M in the MB in minutes actually. So the MB is actually 1.16 M. Okay, so we need to extract this file. The same folder, and then we can move Apache Tomcat. I mean, what we can do, this is move, so it has the longest name like this, so we can shorten this to Tomcat only. So we are actually rename this folder from the longest name to the shortest name. So here we have this. And then we can remove the tar.gz file. I mean, that is actually the zip file, so we can remove that because we have already extract. To save our space, we can actually remove this. And let us go to this. I mean, let us create one profile to have the access of Java. So by using this command, we can create the profile here in etc directory. In etc directory, we actually going to open this. It's already there. And by sudo gedit, we can also create the file, or we can also actually open the file. So I just copied these two lines there, the last, to confirm the address of Java home that's actually available here in this directory, usr lib jsr jvm, and here we have this one. Okay, and let me save this now, this one, and exit now. And then we need to copy the DSpace web apps to Tomcat web apps, so the Tomcat may run with the DSpace on the web browser. By using this command, it's you can see sudo cp. Cp is actually for copy and this directory from this directory. So let us do this. It will take few time. It's actually a long process, so it's taking time. Copy from this directory to this directory. Okay, it's done now. And let us create this file to start Tomcat automatically here. So here's a blank Tomcat. So let me paste this script there. And save this. Close this. After this, we need to grant the permission to this file or the directory. Command also required. So we actually set Tomcat as the default. And then we need to start the Tomcat. Okay, it has started now. So, and what else we can do? We can create one administrator to log in DSpace6. So this command will actually create the administrator, and we need to copy and paste this command. So you can see it's sudo dspace bin dspace and the create administrator. It will ask your email address, so you can provide your email address. There I'm going to provide some dummy information for right now. Taking few time to query the DSpace actually. Now you need to provide your email address. So for example, first name, password, is the above data correct? I will say yes. And now you can see administrator account created. So we can log in within the DSpace, and now it's time to open the DSpace6 on a web browser through the Tomcat. So there we need to write the local host 8080 JSPUI. It's actually the Java user interface, and that's the bootstrap, I mean the responsive interface. And then we have the localhost 8080 colon backslash XML UI. So these two are very famous, and it will take few time to load, and then we will install the Koha within same server machine. For the very first time it will take few time actually, so we have to wait here. Also waiting. Now you can see it has initiated DSpace at my university, and there we are. So this is the Java, I mean default one. User interface, and this one is actually the XML UI. So we can log in here, my DSpace, and the login that we have created. So it was DSpace @local, and the password. So now we can log in this, we can also log in this. So it's up to you, either you use XML UI or you will use JSP UI, whatever you want to use. Okay, so we have completed the installation of DSpace. Now we are going to work on Koha. So what we need to do, we need to update and upgrade once again, and then we need to add the repository of the Koha stable version. So let us start with this. let us clear this so we can move on and exit this actually. Hello and welcome back. Yesterday we have installed the DSpace6 on Ubuntu 20.04 and today we will continue with the Koha 21.05 on the same server machine. So let me log in here and then we will continue with the Koha 21.05. Okay. So we have already installed the DSpace, XML UI, JSP UI, and today we are going to continue with the Koha. So let me update and upgrade my server machine. So it's to activate the admin mode, I would write sudo su and the password of my system, and then I want to update apt-get update. If there are any updates, so let me update now. And then upgrade. So we are already upgraded, and now move on. I would add the Koha repository, I mean the sources, in my Ubuntu repository. Here we are. And then the apt key, and now it's say OK. And now I want to update once again to install Koha. You can see all the Debian or the Koha repositories are available here. Okay, so now we are going to install the Koha with this command. And you can see all the packages, all the dependencies, Perl dependencies, and everything is available here with MySQL client and so on. So the size of this file, I mean all the Koha repositories, is 1249 MBs. So I would say yes, and it will take a long time to install. So let me pause my video here and then I'll come back when it may complete. Okay, it's 7% right now, so let me pause here and I'll come back when it may complete. So I'm back. So as you can see, it has done. It has installed the Koha 21.05.04-1. So we have successfully installed and setting up all the packages and dependencies here. So let us start further. And now we need to configure Koha sites. Let me copy this, and we want to configure this file, Koha sites configuration file. It's available in etc Koha directory. So let me open this, and there I need to add the ports for intra ports for staff interface. So let's suppose 8001 and 8000, because we have already assigned 8080 for Tomcat, I mean the DSpace XML UI and JSP UI. So now intra port is 8001, as you can see this 8001, and opaque port would be 8000. And so let us save this. But if you are working on the HTTP mode, so you can actually set your uh, opaque prefix and then the instance name and domain and the port, so you can work with the HTTP modes as well. But we are working on the port, so we will use this and save this now. So this file is actually most important when you configure the Koha site. So let me save and close this. And after this, we need to install the MySQL server. MySQL is actually the database of Koha. So we will install the MySQL. And in DSpace we are using, in DSpace we are using PostgreSQL. In Koha we are using MySQL. So let me copy this and paste here. So this command will install the MySQL server. MySQL is actually MySQL, so I call it MySQL. So let us install. It's sudo apt-get install MySQL server, or you can have the MariaDB as well. Say it's 195 MB, so I'll say yes, and it will take few time to get all the packages and to install them. So done. As you can see, MySQL is running on this PID. And now after the installation of MySQL, let me enable this mod of Apache. Might be it already enabled. This one. And then let us restart the Apache. Apache is actually the web server of Koha. In DSpace we are using Tomcat, Apache Tomcat, and there we are using Apache 2 as a web server. And now we need to create this instance, I mean the Koha database, Koha master database. So let me copy this and paste here. show you what I'm going to do. Say sudo koha create database. The name of that database or the instance is library, and you can change this to any, but by default I'm going with this. And don't worry about these messages, this is nothing. So it has to start working on this, so it say okay. And now we need to configure the Apache ports as well. First we have configure the ports in the Koha sites configuration file, and now we are configure in the Apache ports. So in the port configuration file, so let me open this file, and there we have by default 80, so it's 8000 for staff interface for opaque, and 8001 for staff interface. And save this, close this, and then we need to restart Apache once again. After this, we can disable this default site, but we are not going to disable this because Tomcat is actually running on this default site. So let me enable this one. These all are the packages of Apache. And after this, and we are going to enable the library instance on Apache as a site. Say site library already enabled. When actually we restart Apache, so it has enabled. Now let us restart Apache once again. So it has restarted. After this, we want to know the password of library. So you can also change this master password. If you want to learn how you can change the master password of Koha, so you can check the video in the description of this video and also on the I button. So here we are, the master password of Koha. So let me copy this, paste here, and before we go to the web browser and start the Koha web installer, we need to restart the mem caches as well. So it's sudo service this command. I hope I have written the correct spelling. Okay, now let us go to the web browser. You can see here we are with the DSpace working, JSP UI. We can log in here. And this one is XML UI. Also working here. And now let us Okay, and let us open the Koha staff interface. So the port we have assigned localhost colon 8001 for staff interface. And there we are. So it's the web installer 21.05. So we need to write the Koha, and if you can see this, Koha and the instance name underscore your instance name, whatever the instance you have created you need to write, and the password. For the very first time you need to log in with this password. And then you will create the super librarian, and then you will need to log in with the super librarian credential. If you might forget the super librarian credential, you can create the new credential within the terminal. So there's a video available in the description of this video or on the I button. You might check that for how you actually update the super librarian credential. So it's web installer, it's checking the Perl dependencies. So we have already installed all the Perl dependencies with the Koha package. And now database setting. So here we have the MySQL as the database. The database name is the library, and it's available on localhost, and the port is this one, and the user is Koha_library database, and so on. So now it's set up the database. So database tables created. Okay. Install basic configuration. So you can select Unimark, or we can go with the universal. You can read more about this. What is actually this? Mark record. So we have already discussed about mark in one of the last video, the mark structure. So you can check that video. Unimark is actually used in the European side, and the Mark 21 is used globally. So let me go with the Mark 21. And now we have some packages, so we can install them. These are mandatory, so we need to go with them, and these are optional. So it's a good idea to have all of them, unless you will check your policy, what your policy is in library. So for example, you can drop these categories, patterns categories, they are the default one, and you can drop some other things, whatever you want to, like sample patterns, so you can drop them, sample library, so you can create your own library. So let me import all of them. See, we have import all the optional data here, mandatory data here, and the basic installation completed. Now we are going to the onboarding tools, and let us start the process. There we need to provide the administrator account, I mean the super librarian credential. For example, we can write like this: And you can also change this data further, and this you need to provide some, not like this, you need to provide some username and the password, and then submit. Save this, and we have some circulation rules here. So we will go with the default one right now, and we can further work on them. And now for the very first time we are going to log in within the Koha staff interface, and our opaque is mic available on 8000. So this is the Koha staff interface. And here we are with the opaque. So about Koha, so we have installed this 21.05.04 with all required things, and it's working well with the DSpace. So we have installed the Koha along with DSpace on Ubuntu 20.04, that is current LTS. So you can have the Koha and DSpace on the same server, but the recommended setting is to have separate server for separate system. Koha is actually the integrated library system to manage your library, whereas DSpace is actually for the institutional repository for digital library system. So they both are the separate things, so you can have the separate server, but if you don't have any choice, you can work like this. And thank you very much for watching. This is furrukh.hussain and you are watching RAFLIMTS. Thank you once again. Take care, and please comment in the comment sections of this video. Your emails are good, you can email me, but please comment in the comment section of this video. Thank you very much. You're watching RAFLIMTS. This is furrukh.hussain. Take care.